Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Gurudas Jayādvaita Swami Iti Namine Namao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi
Hare Krishna. Come in.
Pashatya
Let's go on.
Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Shrotra Shatra Shishimar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishwapad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtotra Shatra Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem se karo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, all glorious is some of devotees, all glorious is some of devotees, all glorious is some of devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.
Welcome everybody to Caitanya Caritamrita with His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami. It is Thursday, July 10th, 2025, and I'm not sure where we left off in Caitanya Caritamrita. I don't see it anywhere in the chat. I think it's 50 though. It's a guess from YouTube. Guramash, you're muted. Can't hear you.
I have 52, but let me just check. I have 52. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, let me just see. He's creating mischief with the girls, but that's stealing their offerings.
Confirmed from Saraswati Machi.
But you're right, 50 is possible.
Or let's see, going to the YouTube. Looks like 50 was read by Naveen Prabhu, and then maybe 51 after that. And Saraswati Machi confirms 52. So
52, okay.
okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, starting from 52. Kode Kanya Gana Kahe Shuna Nimani Grama Sambande Tumi Ama Sabara Bai. Translation. All the girls became very angry at the Lord for this behavior. Dear Nimai, they told him, you are just like our brother in our village relationship.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shaminiti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarine. So what is this behavior? They're worshiping Lord Shiva to get good husbands. I believe on the bank of the Ganga, they're doing that seva. And the Lord's stealing all the stuff. He sits down in the middle of them and says, just worship me, and I'll see that you get good husbands. And then he takes their sandalwood pulp meant for the puja, and he smears it on his own body. He takes the flower garlands meant for their puja, puts them on his neck. Then he takes all the offerings, the food that they've prepared to offer to Lord Shiva, eats that. So this is outrageous, totally outrageous. So naturally they become angry and says and protest. So that's what we're reading.
Okay, 53. Yeah, let's see, something in the chat. Nope, nothing. Shall I go ahead with 53?
That was 52. Now 53.
Yeah. Ama sabakara paksha iha karite na yuyaya na laha devata saja na kara anyaya. Translation. Therefore, it does not behoove you to act like this. Don't take our paraphernalia for worship of the demigods. Don't create a disturbance in this way.
Prabhu kahe Toma Shabake, Dila e bar, Toma Shabar Barta habe, Poroma Shundar. The Lord replied, my dear sisters, I give you the benediction that your husbands will be very handsome. Pandit Vidagda Yuva, Dhana Dhanyaban, Shata Shata Putra habe, Chirayu Motiman. They'll be learned, clever, and young, and possess abundant wealth and rice. Not only that, but you'll each have 7 sons who will all live long lives and be very intelligent. Purport. Generally, it's the ambition of a young girl to have a very handsome husband who is learned, clever, young, rich. According to the Vedic culture, one is rich if he possesses a large stock of food grain and a very large number of animals. Dhanyena dhanavan gavaya dhanavan. One is rich if he possesses food grain, cows, and bulls. A girl also desires to have many children, especially sons, putra, were very intelligent and long-lived. Now, because society has deteriorated, there's propaganda to have 1 or 2 children and kill the rest by contraceptive methods. But the natural ambition of a girl is to possess not only more than 1 child, but at least half a dozen. I was seeing today, there was some website protesting child marriage. There was an Indian organization, global, but Indian mainly, opposing child marriage. Child marriage means marriage of any girl under 18. That's a child. So this is all, and then their reasons were various. Some of them were just totally fabricated, but some of them were, what was it? Oh, then they don't go to school. They're less likely to go to school if they get married young. And that's very bad. And then they also don't contribute as much to the workforce and the wealth of the country. So these are all very non-Vedic propositions. She shouldn't marry while she's still a child. Now, how much sex she has, that's another story. By the age of 18, now even in India, in the big cities, they're experienced well before they're 18, but they shouldn't get married. They can have sex, but they shouldn't get married. And if they get married, then they won't go to school. But why do they have to go to school if they have a husband and they're married? They have children, they have a home, they have everything. Why do they have to go to school? So that they can work. Why do they have to work? So they can contribute to the GNP. So this is all, according to Vedic culture, uncivilized. And Prabhupada mentions it here. And then they should have only 1 or 2 children. What is that? Hamdo, hamare do. All this propaganda is made, just have 1 or 2 children. But that's not, but have sex as much as you like, but prevent pregnancy by contraception. And if you do get pregnant, then kill the child, because that's good for the economy or whatever your reasons are. So this is degraded mentality. In exchange for the paraphernalia of worship, he usurped for himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to bless the girls to fulfill all their ambitions and desires. One can easily become happy and obtain the material benefits of a good husband, wealth, food grain, and a number of nice children by worshiping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas at an early age, it's not necessary for his devotees to follow him by also taking sannyas. One can stay a householder, but one must be a devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then one will be happy with all the material opulences of a good home, good children, good mate, good wealth, and everything he desires. Therefore, the Shastras advise, Yagyai Sankirtana Prior Yajantihi Sumedasa. Every householder, therefore, who is actually intelligent, should introduce the Sankirtan movement home to home and live peacefully in this life and go back to Godhead in the next. So this is the idea, just perform yagya and live happily. And yagya in this age, the yagya purush, the person to whom yagya should be offered, is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yagya Sankirtana Prior Yajantihi Sumedasa. There's something in the chat?
Yes. Pradesha Prabhu writes, Anya has many translations from 53 atrocities, sinful activity, grievous offense. For us Westerners, it may be hard to relate to just how outrageous Mahaprabhu's actions were.
Yes, not stealing all the offerings meant for the, this is, it's like imagine somebody goes into a church and, sits on the altar and tells everybody, you offer your candles to me, you offer your prayers to me. Or someone comes into a temple and sits on the throne of the deity. Now, how wild that is. So here, the worship is supposed to be offered very seriously to Lord Shiva, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just snatches everything for himself. So it's totally, totally wild. Yes.
Praveen Prabhu writes, recently there are some leaders who are propagating for their community to have more children. Community count is control of your area is the slogan.
Mm. Yeah. Even that's there, that if you have more children, then eventually your population will control. And another thing is that they're finding in countries where they were limiting the population, to China, I'm hearing, now they have problems. And they're encouraging people to have more children because the society becomes unbalanced. You have all old people and no young people to support the old people or take over from the old people. So you have some smart guys figure out that if you have fewer children, then it'll be good for the national economy. But then down the line, they find out, no, it's not so good for the national economy. And meanwhile, they're going against Krishna's natural arrangement, and they're behaving brutally by killing children in the womb. And they think that this will lead to happiness. They have their own plans, but their plans will not lead to happiness. One has to follow the Shastras. Then one will be happy. And the Shastras are teaching a natural way of life. Children, young girls don't want to be married. It's against nature even. If women at 18 are children, why is it that at 14 they're able to give birth? Why we say no, they should wait till they're like 25, 27, they finish their education, they've begun their career. But why is nature acted in such a way that 13, 14, they're able to give birth? It's nature's arrangement. And that at that age also, they want to have husbands, they want to have children. So you figured out that it's better for them to wait till 25 or 27 so that they can have all these things in place. But nature's speaking differently. And nature takes over also so that they have, yes, they'll get married at 27, but they'll give themselves out from the age of, much younger, from 15, 16. And if they don't give themselves out, then the boys will say, oh, why are you so prudish? Why are you so, what's wrong with you? And, anyway, we won't start inventing the arguments, but the boys will invent so many arguments that this is socially wrong, that it's selfish, that it's improper, that it's just not belongs to a previous century. So somehow or other you should give your body for my enjoyment. And then they're complaining that they're treated like sex objects, which they are. Or which is how they're treated. Rather than being given to a husband who will care for her and see to her protection, and welfare. I'll just give her out in the marketplace, and then tell her she'll be happy that way. So this sort of, they know better, but it's not true. If we follow God's arrangement, then we'll be more happy, not by these concoctions. And yes, and then even financially, it doesn't work out. China finds out that now we're top heavy. We've got all old people, and we have to get some young people going. Meanwhile, they've skipped a generation, perhaps. But Hesh has something for our
Saraswati,
Saraswati.
are you able to read the chat from now on today, including your comment there?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm just saying, Pranams Parampuchi Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas, scientists, they claim that the brain is not fully mature till age 25. And the modern man wants an educated, mature, well-rounded girl. And therefore, they don't want to marry a young girl.
This is all rubbish. First of all, not mature until they're 25. They're not mature anytime. The men or the women, they're 75 and they're still brainless. So I don't know where they got this magic number 25, not fully mature till age 25. Then modern man wants educated, mature. Right, that's why he doesn't sleep with any girl under 25, right? Come on. He wants what is that, sweet 16 and all of that. Girls are most attractive by nature's arrangement when they're like 16, 18, they're at the height of their attractiveness, so that they'll attract some young man. By the time they're 25, they're already, what's the word? The sheen is wearing off. But yes, a man wants educated, mature, and meanwhile, he wants to have sex with all the uneducated, immature. So yes, you're educated, mature, and experienced. One of our godbrothers, Madhusudan, this is going back to 1968. He was wanting to get married, and there was one devotee girl. She was still in high school, so maybe she was about 18, and they were willing to get married. But the mother objected that she's too young. First, she should have experience with different boys, and then she can decide who she wants to marry. So Prabhupada said, just see, the mother wants the daughter to become a prostitute. This is their idea, and the parents are happy when their daughter is popular. So this is all foolishness. For generations, we've had so many cultures where the girls, including America, where the girls married at a younger age, and they were not unhappy, they were not miserable, they were not, the husbands were not disappointed. Rather, she's educated, she's mature, and then she's independent. So she doesn't give a damn about you. It's a marriage of convenience. You figured it out that a man doesn't want a girl till she's 25 and she's educated and this and that, and a girl doesn't want a man who's not this and that. You figured it all out, and you're so brilliant that half of your marriages are ending in divorce. And divorce means that then the children are pulled into two different directions, and they're confused and unhappy. So this is your superior arrangement. You've figured it out. But why do we have to listen to you? Why do we have to take you seriously. We take the direction of Shastra and Vedic culture, where there's been happiness for, this stuff has not been so difficult. Just ordinary business of mating. They've made it so, what's the word? They've bent it so far out of shape that marriage is practically a myth. There's no stability, there's no commitment, there's no happiness. And also, by the way, I've talked about this many times. She's not mature till she's 25, then she can start shopping. By the time she's 28, maybe she'll get married, then her career's already started. And by the time she has her first child, she's highly eligible for getting a child with Down syndrome, because the number one indicator for Down syndrome is the age at which the girl especially has her first child, which is why Down syndrome, which was previously exceedingly rare, is now quite common. So we have a better idea, but we're fools. Radhesha has a comment.
Yes, I just wanted to actually quickly say that my older sister, she was married at age 16, and well, my parents were criticized heavily, not only by the Indian community, but also, of course, the Western community as well. And she married someone who was at least a decade older than her. But in that marriage, she grew within that marriage, knowing that she had safety, security, respect, and if there were things that she didn't know in terms of, becoming a proficient cook or a housekeeper, she learned all that from her mother-in-law, who treated her just like a daughter. So she was allowed to grow. It wasn't that her growth was stunted and for some reason she couldn't reach her potential, because that's the old argument that they throw, that a girl should travel and have all this experience in order to broaden her horizon, broaden her mind. But as Maharaj Sri says, that's just all really nonsense, and girls are abused. Anyway, so the comment by Radhesha Prabhuji is...
That's while I'm thinking of it, my father was also 10 years older than my mother, and neither of them was Indian.
Well, I think the argument is that they think it's like that person's a pedophile if they, marrying somebody or having a relationship with somebody younger than 18, then that person's a pedophile, is how they label them.
That's so foolish. We're against pedophilia, so the 15-year-old girl should have sex with 15-year-old boys. Then it's normal. 15, 16, 18 is okay. But if they have sex with anyone 25, well, that's pedophilia. But if they have sex with boys their own age or a little older, that's just normal social dealings. It's how bent out of shape they are. How bent out of shape. And it's bad also because they have sex with boys their own age, but the boys their own age are kids. The real matching should be that the boy should be older, because like an 18-year-old girl is a woman, and an 18-year-old boy is a kid. So when you have an 18-year-old girl marry a 28-year-old boy, now you've got something that makes sense. He's established, he's a little steady, he's got his career, he can support the wife, and he's in a take charge position, which we say at the risk of angering modern women is natural and psychologically pleasing. Like, what girl wants a kid? Maybe she'll take one, but is that really what she wants? Someone that she can, that's not any more together than she is. better that she'll have someone who's older and can take responsibility, not someone who's just as confused as she is on ordinary affairs. And so they're foolish. That's all.
So in the chat box, Radesha Prabhuji says, for argument's sake, a man can probably have a child at 12 or 13 years old. I think there are many cases of this happening, but we don't advise that form of nature be followed either. So why do we only advise girls be married at a younger age?
Because that's their natural mentality. What 13-year-old boy, 14-year-old boy wants to be a father? You know, at 15, a girl may want to be a mother, but no 15-year-old boy wants to be a father. End of argument. And the 15-year-old boy will tell the 15-year-old girl, well, you should get an abortion. Because he doesn't want to take any responsibility. You know, he was interested in sex, but he certainly wasn't interested in children. So, you know, he's initiated the sex. Now she can initiate the abortion. What kind of happiness is that?
Thank you, Maj. I guess my question though still is, you know, on the, because you mentioned as a logical argument that why would nature provide a woman the ability to be a mother at these young ages if that's not what we're meant to follow? And so I was just thinking, well, nature also provides man the ability.
I got the argument, but it's not just the ability, it's also the mentality, the natural tendency. It's a natural tendency. Again, you know, a girl 16, 18, you know, they look with admiration at the, you know, other girls who've got kids and they want to play with the kids and so on and so. But the 16-year-old, 18-year-old boy wants nothing to do with children. Nothing. When was the last time you met a 16-year-old or 18-year-old boy who wanted to have kids at that age? None of them. Nor do they really want to take responsibility. And usually they're not equipped to. Hare Krishna.
We have Praveen Prabhuji has written, one matchmaker shared with me that low-income boys and older girls find it difficult for matches.
Yeah, naturally. A girl wants a husband who's got money in his pocket, of course, for sure. And boys want, you know, a nice young model. How many boys go looking for, you know, women who are, what's the word, on the or sliding. Even old men want young women. Young women, and that's the whole, you know, the cosmetic industry isn't all about how to look older than you are. It's all about how to look like you're 16, 18, 20. So yes, the woman is at her most attractive. And therefore this divorce is hardest on women. Because when a man is older, his market value has increased. He's older, he looks a little distinguished. He has a big network of contacts. He has some position in society. He's advanced in his career. He has money and credit. So as he's getting older, his market value is going up. And as she's going older, her market value is going down. So to whose advantage is to, plus she's older and now she's got custody of 2 kids from a previous marriage. So if you want her, she comes with, you know, with all that liability to begin with, 2 kids who belong to somebody else. So, you know, how desirable is that? But when you push divorce, that's where it goes. The guy has no problem finding young, drives up in his sports car and or in his, in his Lexus and flashes his credentials essentially and wows some beautiful young girl. But the older woman, what will she do? So, still, there's some way or other, but it's harder for women.
Maharaj.
Mm.
Interestingly, it seems that he's talking about happiness, a simple form of happiness, which is grains, a beautiful spouse, and healthy, long-living children. But it seems like modern society's version of happiness is more around excitement than peace and stability.
And therefore they're unhappy. They want excitement. They want, all these, and their reality is broken homes, antidepressants, and so many divorce. So even and they're saddled with just high expense just for buying a little cube of an apartment with no land. But to say nothing of grains, they don't even own a piece of property. They own, something on the 13th floor of an apartment building somewhere. So even materially, forget spiritual advancement and perfection of life. Even materially, they've got it wrong. They're making a civilization in which people are not happy, in which people are frustrated, people are so many problems. So even the standard model of happiness, the mama bear, the papa bear, and the baby bears, even that's out of reach in Kali Yuga. The mama bear and papa bear want to kill the baby bears. What kind of, even the bears don't do that. And they're animals. What kind of happiness? So they're so smart, they can tell us what's better, but it's not better.
That perhaps this presents a unique challenge because there are people who deep down they don't feel happy. And so at least it seems we're helping them realize this happiness you're chasing, you shouldn't have so much faith in it. But after that, if someone who's come from such a background of chasing the wrong thing and being influenced, now it's such shaky ground, they need someone to latch on to kind of carry them through that doubtful phase where the family might think they're crazy old friend who thinks
Well, that someone is Krishna. Everyone should latch on to Krishna, and then they'll be happy. Even if there's material unhappiness, because we also can't promise, that there'll be heaven on earth. Just chant Hare Krishna and you'll be rich and famous. And, there'll be difficulty in any case because we're in this material world. But if you're Krishna conscious, you'll be happy under all circumstances. And if you're not Krishna conscious, in any circumstance, you'll be miserable. And we've seen this. We have our life members, especially in, big Indian cities, who are like super, they're in the super rich category, not rich, super rich. And it's not that because they're super rich, they're super happy. It's so many difficulties. So happiness, we don't solve their problems just by, even if we could arrange for them to be rich and famous and, have as many girls as they want and this, that, and the other thing, or as many men as they want, then they won't be happy. Without Krishna consciousness, happiness is illusory. And if they're Krishna conscious, even we see people live in villages and they're Krishna conscious and they have just simple life and they're happy. They don't have, like I've given the example before, sometimes in a village you'll see there's a child and he's got a stick and on the end of the stick there's a nail and he's got like a little wheel. Then you push the stick with the wheel. You catch the wheel on the nail and you push, and it's a lot of fun. You can just have a great time on the little village road with your wheel and your stick, and then that's all you need. But no, if you don't have the latest, whatever the electronic game is, then you're throwing a temper tantrum because all the other kids have it and you don't have it. But the child with his stick and his wheel is just as happy as the kid who's got the latest electronic games, and maybe more happy. So we create an artificial kind of happiness that leads to so many problems, and we'll be seeing more and more how computers will be create computers and online digital existence. We'll be creating more and more psychological, social, and even physical problems. It's already being seen, and it'll be seen more and more. It's not that Maya just gives. Whatever she gives with one hand, she takes away with two. Okay.
Maharaji, I have a question. One devotee was saying, which I was very shocked to hear, it's Prabhupada disciple, and she was saying that there is such a thing as testing compatibility before people get married. And one of the things she was saying is this physical compatibility. So to her, she termed it as Gandharva relationships, that it's okay because you have to know that you're physically compatible, not just intellectually. So I was sort of horrified, but she said it's sanctioned, something called Gandharva relationship.
Gandharva relationship is described in Bhagavatam. Krishna married Rukmini by Gandharva process. The first-class marriage system is that the parents arrange the marriage and there's a ceremony and all of that. And the Gandharva marriage is that you kidnap the girl. So Krishna did that. He kidnapped Rukmini. That wasn't the standard first-class method, but that's also an accepted method of marriage. But this Gandharva relationship, that's what's known as prostitution. Even the demons, who was that? Banasura. He had his daughter, and he was shocked when he discovered that she was, although unmarried, having a relationship with a young boy, namely Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna. It was shocking to him. And he was a demon. He wasn't a Vaishnav, he wasn't a Sura. He was a demon, and he was shocked that his daughter was having a relationship with some young boy before she was married. That how, what's the word? How degraded, how shameful that is. So Gandharva relationship, it's called prostitution. And less than prostitution. There's a because the prostitutes, they give their bodies out to different men, but they get paid. And you're giving your body out and you're not even getting anything. So you're a fool. There was a scandal at the University of Florida many years ago. It came in the student newspaper, minor scandal, that some of the undergraduate women were giving themselves out. I forget whether it was to professors or to other students in order to pay their way through college. That was, obviously scandalous. But from my take on it was they were smarter than the other girls because the other girls were doing the same thing and not getting paid. They're MBA students, but they're giving away the product for free. How smart is that? So it's prostitution, plain and simple. And you glorify with Gandharva, You can call it Gandharva, you can call it Apsara, you can call it whatever you want, but Prabhupada called it prostitution. Just see, the mother wants the daughter to become a prostitute. That was Prabhupada's comment. He didn't say, oh, yes, this is Gandharva relationship. It's illicit sex, first of all. Plain and simple. Sex outside of marriage is illicit sex. Gandharva. And that's all it is. And physical compatibility. It's like, okay, that one wasn't so compatible. Next. Well, that was better, but not really quite up to standard. Next. How many are you going to run through before you find the one who's compatible? And meanwhile, each one is being compared to the ones before him. And then if you finally commit to one, still you'll be thinking, well, Charlie was kind of better, and I'm sure there are better ones out there, because that's your standard of life now, that your interest is in physical compatibility. That is to say, the physical pleasure of the relationship. And as soon as that goes down, you're going to want a divorce, or you're going to want to have a relationship on the side. Because because it's so foolish. So the Vedic culture is that, yes, they would have physical compatibility. First of all, a certain amount can be judged, without having sex. And then by astrology, they could see who was compatible in all ways. That was there. But we're in the world of the free trial, free trial offer. So and it's just sad that under different pleas, girls are being persuaded that if you want to be happy, then you should try one after another until you find one that you like. It's just sad. And the men, meanwhile, are have a great time because they can taste and go. Satsuru Rabindra Swarup Prabhu made this point that, like, a guy has sex with a girl, and then afterwards she's pregnant, and he sits in a chair and watches the football game. As Prabhupada said, you can either go beg from the government to pay for your child, or else kill it. And all he does is go away if the government doesn't catch up with him. It's a sad business.
We have a comment by Panchatattva Prabhuji. Children in the USA now suffer higher rates of obesity, chronic diseases, and mental health issues like depression than those of other developed countries. The USA has been the flag bearer for materialistic culture. Look where it's going. From 2010 to 2023, 80% more likely to die than their peers in other nations. Study from the journal JAMA.
Journal of the American Medical Association. Let's read a little Chaitanya Charitamrita before the hour's out. We have to have something other than social commentary here. Padashuni, do we have it right?
56?
Yeah, did we finish 55? No. In exchange for the paraphernalia of worship he usurped for himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to bless the girls to fulfill all their ambitions and desires. One can easily become happy and obtain the material benefits of a good husband, wealth, food grain, and a number of nice children by worshiping Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes, we did read that. Okay, 56. Barashuni Kanya Gonir, Ontore Shantosh, Bahire Borshona Kore, Kori Mitya Rosh. Hearing this benediction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the girls were inwardly very happy, but externally, as is natural for girls, they rebuked the Lord under the pretense of anger. Purport. This double dealing is natural for girls. When they are satisfied within, they externally show dissatisfaction. Such feminine dealings are very palatable to boys who try to make friendships with them. And these things we originally find in the spiritual world also. Kon kanya valaila noibeja laya tare daki kohe prabhu shakrota haya. When some of the girls fled, the Lord called them in anger and advised them as follows. Yori naibeja na deha haya kripani buddha partha habe ar chari chari shatini. If you're miserly and don't give me the offerings, every one of you will have an old husband with at least 4 co-wives. Purport. In India in those days, and even until 50 years ago, polygamy was freely allowed. Any man, especially of the higher castes, the Brahmins, the Vaishyas, and particularly the Kshatriyas, could marry more than one wife. In the Mahabharata, or the old history of India, we see that Kshatriya kings, especially, used to marry many wives. According to Vedic civilization, there was no restriction against this, and even a man more than 50 years old could marry. But to be married to a man who had many wives was not a very pleasing situation, because the husband's love would be divided among his many wives. To punish the girls unwilling to offer him the Naibedya, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu apparently wanted to curse them to be married to men who had at least 4 wives. In Africa also, by the way, having several wives is common. Even our ISKCON devotees, it's problematic because the GBC has rules against it, but in Africa, it's kind of standard. The social structure allowing a man to marry more than one wife can be supported in this way. Generally, in every society, the female population is greater in number than the male population. Therefore, if it is a principle in the society that all girls should be married, unless polygamy is allowed, it will not be possible. If all the girls are not married, there's a good chance of adultery, and a society in which adultery is allowed cannot be very peaceful or pure. In our Krishna consciousness society, we have restricted illicit sex. The practical difficulty is to find a husband for each and every girl. We are therefore in favor of polygamy, provided, of course, that the husband is able to maintain more than one wife. Let's see. Iha shunita shabar mone hoila hoy kon kichu jane kiba deva bishta hoy. Hearing this supposed curse by Lord Chaitanya, the girls, considering that he might know something uncommon or be empowered by demigods, were afraid that his curse might be effective. Aniya noibeja tara shanmuke torila kaya noibeja tare ishtabara tila. The girls then brought the offerings before the Lord, who ate them all and blessed the girls to their satisfaction. Now, okay, we can read one more verse. E mota chapolya shab lokere dekaya dukukaro mone nohe shobe shukapai. When this cunning behavior of the Lord with the girls became known to the people in general, it did not create misunderstandings among them. Rather, they enjoyed happiness in these dealings, which is quite wonderful. All right, we can stop here and have kirtan. Want to lead the kirtan, Phil? Okay, here.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paraman Suparipad Jukacharya Stotra Sri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Navadip Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Javana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. And Panchatattva's published a disappointing note that polygamy should be strictly prohibited in our society. So back to the drawing board, guys. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Jayādvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Haribo.